Hey guys, it's Miss Wiesner, and I'm going to go over the problems that you had on the mini quiz yesterday. And first, I want to make sure that you remember your integer rules. Excuse me. This is solving equations with integers mini quiz. So you had to do addition equations, subtraction equations, multiplication, and division equations, all in the same mini quiz. So these are the problems that you had, and I'm going to work them out so you can see where you might have made a mistake if you made mistakes. And you may not remember what the actual problems were if you didn't write them down. Anytime you do a Google form, you should probably write the equation down so you can have something to refer back to later. But anyway, we'll do that going forward. But I wanted to remind you of a way to remember the addition rules, because we really aren't talking about the subtraction integer rules anymore because we're in algebra. So LA is in the U.S. LA is in the U.S. And even though, he's passed on, I can't help but think about Kobe Bryant. So it helps me remember LA is in the U.S. The L means if you have like signs, and the A means you add and keep the sign. So LA. And then US, the U stands for unlike signs, and the S stands for subtract, take sign of higher number. So that's basically all you need to do for the addition and subtraction equations, is just remember those rules. And I wrote this out a little bit more than I did on the handout and that I had on the board back when we were in that very, very, very cold room that we used to have. This is for same signs. This is for multiplication and division. If you have a positive times a positive, your answer is positive. Positive divided by a positive is a positive. So I went ahead and included division on this. And then a negative times a negative is a positive. A negative divided by a negative is also a positive. So same signs, positive. All right, if your signs are different, positive times a negative, your answer is negative. Positive divided by a negative, your answer is negative. And then negative times a positive is negative. Negative divided by a positive is negative. So I just include, the only thing different than what you're used to seeing is I included the division. So if your signs are different, your answer is negative. Okay, I used to have a nice iPad stand that held this in place for me, but since it's been a long time since I've used this in this way, I have no idea where it is. Okay, so for number 1, you had the variable c plus 4 equals negative 8. Remember, your goal is to always have the variable on one side and numbers on the right side of the equal sign. I'm writing the white line for this problem only. So in order to get c by itself, we have to get rid of whatever's with c. In this case, it's the 4. So I kind of always think about it like the c don't want to have anything to do with that 4. So get out of here. So we've got to get that 4 out of there, or things are going to get nasty. Just kidding. So what's the opposite of adding 4? Or positive 4 is negative 4 or minus 4. Do that to both sides. These 4's cancel out because of the inverse property. I'm left with c equals, and I'm subtracting and adding. This is an addition problem. So I have to go back to my rules and think, okay, if the signs are the same, I add and keep the sign. So the answer is negative 12. So C is negative 12. I don't know what the letter was on that. I don't know that it matters. Does it? Oh well, maybe I'll find it in a minute. Number 2, C plus 3 equals 2. So I need to get, again, the C by itself. And what's keeping the C from being by itself is this positive 3 or plus 3. So that's what I'm going to get rid of. So I'm going to do the opposite of addition or positive, which is subtract or negative. Okay, now these cancel out Remember, positive and negative cancel each other out. I'm left with C equals. Now, I'm not going to look at this minus sign as a minus sign. I'm only going to think about it in terms of positives and negatives. So are my signs the same? No, they are not. So I'm going to subtract. What's 3 minus 2? It's 1. And then I'm going to take the sign of the higher number, which is negative. So that one, C, is negative 1. Okay, number 3, you have x minus 13 equals negative 17. So now I need to get the variable by itself, the x, and this negative 13. Get your negative little attitude and get out of my space, says the x variable. You can tell I've been at home way too long. But what's the opposite of negative 13? It would be positive 13 or plus 13, either way. Now, if you look at this, you have x equals, I have a negative and a positive. So that means that I have unlike signs. So US, subtract. Subtract, take the sign of the higher number. So that's negative 4. Done and done. All right, this one's number 4. It wouldn't let me write the number in. So I have some number divided by negative 5 equals positive 5. So what's the opposite of dividing by negative 5? Well, the negative, we're not going to worry about it anymore. The negative is stuck with that number. When you have division and multiplication, when we start talking about inverses, we're not worried about opposite signs. We're worried about opposite operations. So what is the opposite of dividing? The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So that's why we're going to multiply this negative 5 times positive 5. So x equals 5 times 5 is 25. And since my signs are different, my answer is negative. All right, number 5, you have negative 12 times b equals negative 36. Well, this is a multiplication problem. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 12 is dividing by negative 12. Because you want to get that variable by itself. All right. So b equals 36 divided by 12 is 3. Now, is it going to be positive or negative? Well, since my signs are the same and I'm dividing, it's going to be positive. Because if you have the same signs, your answer is positive. Number 6 is a subtraction problem. I need to get rid of that minus 5, that negative 5. So I'm going to add positive 5 to both sides. Or add 5, either way. But since I'm thinking about now addition and subtraction, are my signs, do I have like signs for LA or do I have unlike signs for US? I have unlike signs, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1, and take the sign of the higher number. What do I have more, positives or negatives? I have more positives, so it's positive 1. Number 7 is x minus 4 equals negative 8. So to get the x by itself, I have to get rid of this negative 4. So I'm going to do the opposite of minus 4 or negative 4, which is add or positive 4. You can think about it either way. Those cancel out because they're inverses. Now, I have unlike signs, so that's US. Unlike signs, S means subtract. So 8 minus 4 is 4. And I have more negatives than I do positives. Y'all, we've done integers forever. So I know it takes a while to remember how to do them, but that's why we keep practicing. So some number divided by 6 equals 5. The opposite of dividing by 6 is multiplying. So you can just circle that right up. What's 6 times 5? It's 30. They're both positive, so my answer is positive. Okay, and the last two, I have negative 11m equals negative 77. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 11. And I know you can do these in your head. I did them in my head to get the answer key. But I also knew I was setting myself up in case I made a mistake. So 77 divided by 11 is 7. Now, is it going to be positive or negative? My signs are the same. And when you have the same signs and you're dividing, your answer is going to be positive. So, done. And then this is number 10. X divided by negative 4 equals 9. I'm going to multiply. A lot of you missed this one. Oh, no, maybe not this one. What's negative 4 times positive 9? Well, that's 36. And if you're unsure about the negatives, think about it, or you can go back in the video and look. If you have signs that are different and you're multiplying, your answer is going to be negative. So, there you go. Done and done. Ugh, whatever. Peace. Out. Don't forget to ask me for questions. And I can do individual Google Meets, so don't forget that too. Just ask for them. Thanks. Love you, mean it. Bye.